why did you choose website solutions? Why not like SEO, PPC, social media marketing? Why not copywriting? You're doing a phenomenal job, by the way. You do a phenomenal job on LinkedIn when it comes to copywriting. But I'm just curious, why not a different avenue? Why website solutions?
Yeah, so it was more of a process of elimination because at one point we did all those, with the exception of copywriting, we pretty much did all of those. Social media, we did some management, and it was just wasn't our thing. We did SEO, and I hated the pressure of if you don't get a first page result,
Yes,
then they absolutely hate you. And yeah, and even pay per click, we had toyed with it, and just a lot of those different marketing tactics in the industry. And what really stuck was websites, really for the main reason that people understand what a website is.
Right.
They know what they're getting, and it's not that hard to sell because the inbound is a lot easier because they understand, like I said, what they're getting. You don't have to convince them that they need social media marketing strategy or SEO and try to explain it to them. It's kind of lazy, but we found it was way easier. So we just went with it.
So it's interesting because I see a lot of agencies say, I do everything under one umbrella. Mm-hmm. I'm a full stack agency, full service agency. And what I see from a lot of marketing agencies is they do the whole digital package, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll do the copywriting. We'll do the images. We'll do the videos. We'll do your websites. We'll do SEO, PPC. We'll do PR. We don't do PR, but we'll do it for you, right? We'll wipe your butt. We'll do whatever, right? But you were like, I did the whole digital package, but then you narrowed down to just doing one service, which was the website.
And that has...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that's been really freeing, as counterintuitive as that sounds, because like you mentioned, we were the full stack everything. And it's been an internal conversation between Todd and I, where it's, should we add some more services? Should we not? And we've really just decided that we should have one focus until we absolutely crush it. And by one focus, obviously we do a couple of different things under the website umbrella, maintenance, design, development, things like that. But as a whole, that's really one part of the industry. And we decided that we didn't want to be pulled 100 different directions. And it's really hard to promote a full stack agency because you don't really have a main focus. So that's what we realized, and it really helped us.
That's awesome. I really like that. The focus. It's very rare to find marketing agencies or just website design and development companies that just focus on one service. I feel like they do a lot because it's more like your fish nets, right? They want to cast their nets to a wider audience, but then they take on so many that it becomes quantity over quality, right? Did you experience that too when you were doing everything? It was just, you're all over the place, but it was hard to really make quality.
Yeah, it was really tough because you'd be working on an SEO campaign for one customer, and then you'd run over and schedule social media posts for another. And then you would be running over and doing a website edit for someone else. And it was a lot, and we weren't known for one thing. My own wife had trouble explaining to people what we do. And if your own spouse can't explain it,
yeah, that's true.
For goodness sake, then you're probably doing a little too much. So for the sake of being known for one thing, we just decided, let's hammer websites hard, and we've been going for it ever since.
That's awesome. One of the things that I really like that you do is website audits for marketing professionals. And one of the things that I like to know more of is, what do you do specifically for website audits? And also, I'm going to throw another little question underneath that one is, when should someone consider a website audit? Because a lot of times they don't know, right?
Yeah. So the first one, your first question was, what is a website audit and what do we do, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So let me unpack that first. Traditionally, when you think of a website audit, you would think that someone's going to come in, go through your website, make sure all the links work, make sure that the website is functioning properly. And that's all very good, but we take a different approach. It's more of a conversion audit, more or less, which means we go over the content of the website, the flow, the structure, the design, the customer experience that they're going to go through, and give feedback to the company, the marketing team, the business owner on what can be improved. And to segue into the second question, which is when should you consider one? Basically, we provide this to give a second pair of eyes for your marketing team, for your company, for as a business owner, that second pair of eyes that can say, yes, you're either doing it right, or here are some key areas that you can improve because you've been so focused on your company, on your business, that it's tough for you to see what customers are experiencing. So we purposely go in and not really tear it apart, but give some corrective criticism. We record the call and then we shoot it over to them. And then they have it. So they can go back through it and take notes, send it off to their marketing team, their developer. What we found is that companies, business owners, they already have a relationship with a website developer, or they have one on their team. And we still wanted to offer value to them because we enjoy marketing. We enjoy helping websites convert. So this was just a nice way for us to do that, where we didn't have to do the website development, but we could still help them.
So you mentioned you record. So do you do it over Zoom to record, or is it a phone call recording? You don't just send the PDF over, or do you even send the PDF?
So we do a couple of different things. We get on Zoom, we record the call, and we get out our red marker right there on Zoom and just start circling, Xing, doing all kinds of visual things.
I love that.
So they can get a really good idea of what needs to change, so that they can hand it to their website designer or developer. Or some of them honestly do it themselves if it's a marketing team, and they get the visual on what needs to be done. In addition to that, we send over a one-page report of some of the key takeaways, so they can have that as well. So they're really set up for success. And sometimes they get to the point where they're in the call and they're like, wow, I really like all this. Just do it for me. And we go in and do that as well. So, whatever people are looking for, we're happy to do that in that arena for sure.
I love that. How do you handle a website audit if they have multiple websites? Like, say I come to you and I said, hey, here's the primary domain name, but I also have two other websites. Do you just count that as one website audit, or do you do it per domain?
So we do it per domain, solely for the reason that a lot of times it's a whole different funnel. If it's close to the same funnel, they should probably be on the same website anyway if they're going for the same goal. But a lot of times, if they're separate domains, they're really separate businesses, entities, sections of a company. And it's better just to get a whole different view on that, so there's not confusion. So yeah, we do one per domain, just to keep it easy.
Awesome. And when should someone consider a website audit? Hopefully I didn't miss that.
Yeah, so they should, I don't remember if I said it or not, but they should consider one really at any point that they are questioning, because that's very easy to do. We question our work or wonder if it could be better, or if we did it right, or we want the confirmation that we did a good job. So really anywhere in the process, obviously not before a build. These are typically on websites that have been up and running, and you're looking for a way to improve them, hopefully get some more conversions, and really represent your company better. That would be my answer.
That's awesome. Another question that I have is, who is your ideal client? The more specific, the better.
Yeah, so our ideal client are VPs of marketing at B2B tech companies, SaaS companies, computer software, that industry. Typically, the companies that we work with size between 10 employees and 1,000 employees, and then they have an annual budget of around $5 million to $150 million. That's our ideal client, ICP.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're probably the first one that have gotten that specific on the ideal client. So that's awesome, because
I learned from the best.
That's awesome, because a lot of people say I do everyone, right? Like I take on any project. I take on whoever wants to do business with me, but it's very hard to know if I'm someone, or maybe it's a listener on this show or a viewer that's watching this on YouTube, right? And they might be your ideal client, or they might be your industry partner, but they don't know what to refer you because you say you do everything. So it's like, all right, well, but if you say something very specific, like you just did, computer software, VP of marketing, director of marketing, company size, annual revenue, that's very specific. I know people that are your ideal client, and I can refer you those people. I may have already got out of a meeting with that person.
It's really counterintuitive. I use that phrase a lot, obviously, but when you're honed in, and this goes back to what we mentioned about the websites, you're known for something. Right. When a keyword or a key phrase is sparked up in conversation or in a meeting room, something along those lines, I want to be the one that comes to mind for website development, website maintenance, B2B companies. So if you're listening to this, I would encourage you to get honed in. And we were not like that up until recently, especially with our ICP. We were all over the place. It kind of had an identity crisis with who we should really focus on. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until recently that we really started doing, I mean, we had worked with B2B companies, but focused solely on that. And even with the websites, we had mentioned that in the beginning where we were all over the map with social media, SEO, PPC, hone in on one thing, hone in on an ICP and go for it.
And it's normal. So those who are listening to this episode, it's totally normal. Everyone goes through growing pains, and it's like trial and error. You have to like just do it and see what works for you. And then the more specific you get with your ideal client, the better. So you nailed it, Sam. I really loved it. You nailed it when it comes to who your ideal client is. Now, if the ideal client, the ideal client is listening to this, podcast episode and wants to get in contact with you, what's the best way that they can get in contact with you?
The best way is to go to our website, oneclickagency.com. You can use the number 1 or just spell it out. It goes to the same place. The second place, I do respond to all the messages. It just might take me a little while because there's quite a few. Would just be LinkedIn. Look me up there, Sam Moss. Just shoot me a DM. I'd be happy to start the conversation there. So a couple of touch points for you.
That's awesome. Last question I have is, do you have any advice for our listeners?
I would say clarity on a website. I'll keep it along those lines. Clarity and simplicity really are what win in today's marketplace, especially in the B2B space. I'll give an example. The other day, I came across the Forbes, I think it's the Forbes 100, Forbes Cloud 100. And basically it's the top 100 B2B software companies in the United States. And I started clicking down through their websites and I was like, I wonder how hard it's going to be to figure out what these companies do. So I know nothing about them. As a business owner, I am technically a lot of their ideal customers. So I should be able to relate and need some of these services. Right. And I kid you not, I went through about 10 to 12 different websites, and half of them, even with some real digging into the site, I could not tell you what they do. And that's really a scary thought for someone that stumbles across a website like that, which I would think would happen more often than not. So it goes back to make it easy for us to know what you do, how you're going to make my life better as an ideal customer, and how do I buy from you. List those 3 things right off the bat on your website and keep it simple. Don't make it harder than it needs to be to buy. That would be the advice I have.
That's great advice, because it makes me think about, you're right, there's a lot of websites out there, even outside B2B space, where I go there and they talk about benefits or features, and it's like, well, what the heck do you do? Right. Mm-hmm. And then I have to go to Google search to just get a short company description. right? Or I'm looking in the About Us, or I'm going to a different tab that, again, it's all Google search, right? But then I lose interest and I end up going elsewhere, or I'm on Amazon shopping for something different. Right?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. This also applies to going on a little tangent here, but I won't go too far. Is like websites that have an overwhelming amount of text. Like if I'm there, I get overwhelmed, I'm out. I'm not going to spend time. I'm not going to read everything. I don't have time to read a lot of stuff, right? So I don't know.
Honestly think B2B companies fall into that trap a lot. They have a lot they need to tell, and they feel like they need to regurgitate that out immediately onto their homepage of their website, and it can be really overwhelming. And like I said with the Forbes Cloud 100,
totally,
I was really overwhelmed and shocked. As an ideal customer for a lot of these companies that I clicked on their website, I could not tell what they did, and they really did list some features and benefits, but we have to go back to the basics and just tell me what you do. That would be nice. Are you a cloud software or storage company? Did you create a CRM that I need for my team? I could not tell, even after some digging, which I think is pretty sad.
Right. Totally. Well, Sam, we're out of time, but thank you again for your time. And for those listening, Sam Moss runs a website design development company. So if you're looking to outsource website design, website development, website maintenance, he is your guy. He is your point of contact. You can send him a message on LinkedIn. He does his best. He does. I've tried it myself. I'm sending him a message. He'll does his best to get in contact with you and reply. So definitely send him a LinkedIn message. Thanks again, Sam, for your time.
Hey, Seuss, thanks for having me here, man.
Yeah, this was fun. This was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Well, you have a great one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As a reminder, don't forget to subscribe. You can also listen to our podcast on your favorite podcasting app.